Hello everyone. This is just a video explaining what would be like my ideal My Little Pony generation. It doesn't have everything because I didn't I haven't thought of everything yet, but I just felt like making the video anyways. So we'll start with the ponies obviously because they're the main. This isn't like predictions or anything, or even stuff that I think they'd do. Is just like what would be the absolute best case. So we've got the ponies. I think that they should be kind of like in G2, right? Well, it's a mix of a bunch of different art styles. Like the eyes kind of look like a mix between G3 and G4, stuff like that. I want them to have like long bodies and stuff, like long legs, but they need to be. It needs to be like a nice flowing art style. I don't want them to look like those people who draw G4 ponies and they give them really long legs, but they just end up looking like dogs. Because they've got a very stiff posture, and even when they're moving and stuff, and they just, have a horse shape just with longer legs than like a real horse would have. And they're thin at the top. They get bigger at the bottom. The G4 movie toys were terrible. Like they couldn't stand or anything. The wings will have like little swirls on them. They're similar to G3's wings. They're not super big or anything. They're just a good size on the pony, and it doesn't obscure their cutie mark and stuff. And this horn is just basic. I think that all the mains should be two colors, regardless of like you can have two shades of the same color. I just think there needs to be two colors present because in this art style, if you draw the hair this way, it makes it more cohesive. Like it's easier to tell what's going on, because otherwise everything can kind of get jumbled, and it's like, where does one strand begin and the other ends, kind of thing. So the eyes have like multiple colors in them. I really liked how in G3 some ponies would just like have rainbow eyes or just two colors and stuff, and then they'd also have like the little shine on the inside that's colored. So they have this big shine, they have two little shines, and one of those is colored, and then they can have a ring of another color around the eye, or it can just be a paler version of the main one. The cutie marks would be like one image, and it would be quite like colorful and stuff. Like it won't be super simple like in G2, but it won't have an outline or shading like in G3. I want it to look like a marking. It's just a very pretty and detailed marking, but it shouldn't have an outline or anything that makes it look 3D on the pony. And so, no like fetlocks or anything, just they have eyebrows, but they don't need to be present on the toy. They're just an outline. They don't have a color or anything. It's just so that it helps the pony express. And they have this little upper eyelid visible because it gives them a slightly gentler expression. So they have a very round, thin muzzle. They're a lot more pony-like than what we've seen recently. They are definitely just shape-wise very similar to G2. So, then onto this. So, I want unicorns and pegasi to be a bit more rare than Earth ponies. In G1, they'd often just release a batch of 6, and it would be 4 Earth ponies and then 1 unicorn, 1 Pegasus. I think they should do 5s because I like having one character in the center. Because, there'll be 5 main characters. Because I think that if you want all of the main characters to appear in one episode, then 7 is a bit too much for them all to get the screen time in the one episode, and 3 would get boring because it would constantly be going through the same 3 ponies. I think that 5 is a really good number of main characters to have, and I just like having one in the middle, so I don't want it to be an even number. So the Pegasi and unicorns, it's not because they're detached from the other races. It's not like in G3 or G5 where they live somewhere else. They're just born under special circumstances. It doesn't mean that they're super powerful or anything. They're not overpowered compared to Earth ponies. It doesn't mean that they have a great destiny or something. It's just that I don't know, maybe unicorns are born on full moons or whatever. I'm not sure. But they're just more rare because they have strange circumstances, and they're not another species like another race. They are just a strange pony with a strange thing going on. But they'll still be like, yeah, a reasonable amount of them compared to the amounts of ponies. Like if it were a dole line, it would still be 3 Earth ponies, 1 Pegasus, 1 unicorn for each batch. So yeah, they're not extremely rare. I think that they should have like at least 3 ages in the toy line. Like obviously in the show there would be all ages, but in the toy line I feel like they should at least have adults, foals, and babies. G1 had like a whole range of different ages, and I think we should add them too, but I think that the main ones, like the ones that just keep getting more releases, would be these 3 ages. Because I mean they're easy to tell apart. They aren't like super specific or anything as an age range, like if you made tween ponies, that's a bit like specific to just keep releasing them. That would be like a special release. I don't want the ponies to like have different body shapes. I like in real life horses do have different breeds. I just don't feel like it works for them. The same with markings. I like designing horses with like realistic markings but unrealistic colors, but I just think in a pony sense it doesn't really work for them. I think that they should all stay the same in that way, but I think that all, like as a toy line, they should all have different poses, like in G1 and G3 and G2, but the poses weren't very dynamic. Like they should all have different poses so that the toys don't all look the same, like in G4 and kind of G5. They have different body shapes, but it's really hard to tell with the toys and the show for that matter. So now this is just an idea of their town. It's shaped like a horseshoe, obviously. The buildings would be all colors, but I'm just doing pink for this right here. There would be these 5 ponds or fountains, I guess, inside the town, just to represent like the little screw bits on the horseshoe. It just makes it it would look bad if it was only buildings. Like there needs to be landmarks in it, and so that's why I added those. I don't know about like their whole country yet, what that would look like. All the buildings should be the same size, but they should be different colors, because obviously in Ponyville, like the color palette is like yellow and pink, and then there'll be some that don't match that, but it's mostly yellow with pink trims. And so in this case they'd all be different colors, just in the same style, kind of like when you see all those weatherboard houses. There should definitely be like more clothes present, not just like super fancy, overly colorful ones, just like more simple clothes that the ponies just like wear just because they can. It's not like a thing that they have to do. I like when you can dress up your ponies, and I don't think it should just be like a gala or high society thing. You should just like see ponies just with a scarf, or maybe there's a pony at the park in a like pretty spring like dress, something, just to give them a bit more uniqueness, like when they're next to each other, so they don't look too much like recolors, although they should have different mane styles and eye styles anyways. But I feel like the outfits gives them their own personality depending on what kind of outfit they wear, and it's just fun. It's just fun dressing up ponies. So there will be actual royalty, and there'd be obviously there'd be unicorns because of the power that unicorns have. I wouldn't want them to be like as overpowered as in G4. But they still have certain things that would just help them with royalty, like with royal duties and stuff. And also other ponies just kind of look up to them automatically because of that. It's not even necessarily practical. They look up to them and find it easier to treat them as rulers. So, but other species can become rulers. It's just typically unicorns. So yeah, they have royalty. I didn't want to make them alicorns because then you would have to ask the question, why aren't they helping? Like people joke about in G4, why do Celestia and Luna always sit back? But I mean, there can be alicorns somewhere else. I just don't want them to be like part of the city, like part of the central plot, because then it just makes you wonder why they're so unhelpful. And also there'd be male ponies. This one I kind of gave like chin fluff, but they don't have to have that. They'd be like bigger than the female ponies, kind of stockier. They wouldn't have like the the fetlocks like in G1. But they would still have long manes, because I feel like that was like, with humans, obviously, we associate like short hair and stuff. It's a more masculine thing. But with horses, I just don't think it looks, because it makes them look smaller, right? When they have long hair, like, horses look so majestic, like, with long hair, and so I feel like the stallion should have it too, because, like, think of giant Frisian stallions, how majestic they look. I feel like it's only fitting. I feel like short hair is something that suits, like, foals, or I guess, like, soldiers if they really need to have their hair cut, but even then, I would say it just looks better long, it just fits the vibe more. And so, yeah. And they would also only have one eyelash. I don't want to have no eyelashes because I just don't feel like it goes well with the eye shape, but they'll have one lash to frame their eyes, whereas females always have to have at least two. Yeah. And there'll be a king and queen, and like a lineage and stuff. And the final thing that I have a drawing for is, I like the other species like that G4 presents and stuff, but I'm more of a fan of just having like a million different varieties of pony. Like, it's just so pony centric. Like, there's all these other civilizations, but they're still ponies, you know, they're not yaks or anything. And so, like, we have flutter ponies. They look basically the same as they do in G1, like they're slightly thinner. Except I decided like they should have shorter manes and tails. They should have these kind of wispy eyelashes and these little pom-poms that kind of resemble antennae. Like vaguely. I just thought that would be a nice touch just to differentiate them a bit more. We've got breezies. They look a lot like they do in G3. They are small and stuff. They live with the flutter ponies. So these other species, they don't live in the area where the main characters live, because obviously they don't live in the same kind of climate, right? Like, flutter ponies need to live in a place with, like, that's more gentle. They've got, because of their fragile wings and stuff, they don't live somewhere where it just, like, has a random storm in the middle of the day. Whereas other ponies, the normal ponies, they need to live in that kind of area because it's got better supplies for farming and stuff, whereas flutter ponies, they feed off of like the sun and nectar and stuff, so they don't need that stuff. They just need to be able to fly around because their bodies are frail. And it's the same with the breezies. And the breezies, they're not like the smartest, just like in G3, like they're not super intelligent, but they're very helpful. They help the flutter ponies with stuff, and in exchange the flutter ponies help them out. And then we've got like sea ponies. I haven't thought of like much lore for them. I made them look more like the G1 ones where they just look like actual seahorses, although they've got the mane on their head, and then they've got this kind of attached to their tail, they've got more hair, like another line of hair. It's kind of like those fish with really long extravagant fins and stuff, but on a toy it would just be more hair. So and there would be more species than that. I just can't, like, I couldn't be bothered like drawing them, thinking them up and stuff. So that's all the stuff that I have drawings for. But I'll talk about like the formula, I guess. I think it would be good to have a Monster of the Week formula, because both the slice of life and the adventure thing are like very important to My Little Pony. So I feel like they should do what Magical Girl shows do. Have a slice of life scenario which gets solved by defeating the Monster of the Week. Like, two characters are arguing and then they have to work together to defeat the bad guy, and so then the argument thing gets resolved as well. They fix 2 in 1. I don't know about villains, like where these monsters will be coming from yet, though. I haven't thought of that. And another thing about their cutie marks. So instead of like representing their talent, because I mean, you can have multiple talents. Obviously, it represents their best one, but I thought that it would be more so specifically what makes them them. I know that it's kind of that way in G4, but I feel like sometimes it feels kind of shallow. Like it doesn't feel like it suits them as their most special thing. I mean, I can't think of like an example. Maybe it's just the vague cutie marks of the background characters that do that. But yeah. So it and it will come in I guess in between the it comes in like as they're a baby. Obviously, you don't know your whole personality when you're a baby, but the reason that I feel this should be the case is because newborns, they just sleep and stuff, right? They some of them are different to others, but they basically have the same thing, right? They just sleep and drink milk because that's all they can do at that age, right? They're just focused on living because it's even in this society, it's difficult when you're a newborn baby to stay strong, you know. So but then like once they get to that stage where they might be laughing and rolling and stuff, you know, where they start to show a little bit of their personality, even if it might change as they get older, they'll start to get like it will come in slowly. It won't be like a flash like in G4. They'll slowly start to get a marking appearing on their fur that will show like how they'll be as they grow older, you know? Show what makes them them. And I mean, in this case, it's just a flower, but the cutie marks can be symbolic. They're not necessarily hobbies or talents. A pony could have a flower cutie mark because they're nurturing or because they love nature. It doesn't mean that they garden. It just means it fits their personality. And so that's what's going on with these ponies. So the toys would be the babies after they get their cutie mark, right? That kind of age. And that's kind of all the stuff that I've thought of for now. I just really wanted to make a video about it. Like, I don't know why. I just felt like it.